Welcome back to Joe's Toolbox Exchange. Today we're going to be looking at the newest box in the Snap-on lineup. Before we do that though, we are going to mention the giveaway. That ended yesterday. We'll announce the giveaway winner today. It's going to be for any Matco 3/8 flex head ratchet. You guys can pick the color. These ratchets are great. We sell a ton of them. I do love these ratchets. This is what I personally use. If you want, you can have a 1/4 inch. And if you want, you could also have a 1/4 inch and we can do an internal swap on it, so it'll be a 3/8. So it'll be for any 1/4 or 3/8 flex head. We also have the orange and 3/8. I don't know, it's probably up front though. We'll announce that at the end of this video. So this box we're looking at today is going to be the newest box in the Snap-on lineup. It's going to be the KHP46. This cart is really cool. I like the price on it. I really like everything about it. It's the first one that I've actually seen. They came out, I believe, last year. The way you can tell if you guys are shopping for one of these used, they look very similar in photos, only this top drawer is a little bit bigger and this logo is a little bit high. Usually this logo is sitting in line with the bumper. It's the same bumper as the standard 40-inch carts, and the lid is just a little bit shorter. So they actually boosted this box quite a bit taller, and they call it a power cart now, which is why it's going to be a KHP46. It's built on the platform, it's built on the Classic Series platform, so it has the same wheels and things like this. But the box itself is almost identical to a KRSC46. The KRSC46 is something we have sold dozens and dozens of. That's going to be this exact box, only it's going to be this tall here. So what they've done is just boosted it up a little bit and added some second slides and some features on the inside and increased the price a tiny bit. I think they really hit the nail on the head with the price. Sometimes Snap-on will come up with a new feature or a new model of a box, and the price jumps substantially. And for example, we're going to talk about the KHP415. The KHP415 is also going to be a power cart, only it is only 40 inches tall, so it's about this tall. It's a really small box. It's only got 4 drawers, and it has a similar power layout to this box, only those boxes are $2,895. A standard 40-inch cart is going to be $2,350. So they actually shrunk that box way down. Kept the same frame, the same dimensions this way and this way, and added a bunch of price. So sometimes, like when Snap-on does new products, I don't always agree with their pricing, but for this one I know you're paying an extra $240 some for a lot of additional features. I think it's a really good model. I have a feeling that this will replace the KRSC46 completely, and it probably obsoletes the KHP415. This box kind of does both of those boxes. The features of the KHP415 with the size of the KHP or the KRSC46. I know it's a lot of model numbers, but some of you guys do care. So this box is going to still be a 6 drawer. I wish I had a KRSC46 in here. I just don't. They always sell within a day of us having them. Those boxes are $2,350. So they're almost the same price and almost the same dimensions. But if you want to come show the inside of it, this is what you're gaining with the KHP46. It's a pretty cool system. They have these rails here, so you have nothing underneath, so you don't lose your storage here. If you want to put blow mold cases or trays in here, you still could. Maybe you have some stuff you don't use very often, like drive line sockets or something in the back. And they also took this rail way down. Usually this rail sticks up quite a bit higher and kind of makes it hard to get in here. But I think overall this design is way better. And this is the first time I've ever seen a box kilter their struts, which I think is awesome. Usually the struts are attached to this piece here. So this is why this is higher and your struts are kind of in the way. But these are actually on the wall of the box. So when you're working out of this, they're completely, completely out of the way. And if you see it from the front, they are at a pretty substantial angle. I'm not positive how that'll hold up over time, but usually Snap-on does quite a bit of research before they make their stuff, so I'm guessing this will hold up just as well as the KRSC46. Those cups, you get 8 of them for different sizes. They all move up and down. On the other models, there's screws that you actually have to take in and out. They're little Torx bits, but these are actually just pressure clips. If you want to keep showing that box, I'll go find a trim pad tool to pop them. But it's something I've never seen from Snap-on in any other box. On their KHP 415, which is the smaller version of this box with the 4 drawers, they do not use this, but they have these little push pins that are pretty cool. They make it really easy to adjust where you want your cups without having to get out your Torx, which do wear out over time. So this is your pieces. They're like these little almost like trim pads. they clip in. So then these cups can go anywhere. So if your drills are, like, a long barrel, or if you have a, a stubby, you can adjust them accordingly. And then they go in any position, and then you just pop those little guys back in. I think it's a pretty cool, I like seeing Snap-on make things a little bit different. Well, that one's not gonna go, but it's the same idea. It's the same locking lever as the other boxes. I really like on this, I wish I had an example of a KHP46, but usually these drawers are all the same size all the way down. They gave you a very large drawer here on the top, and they double slit it. So these pounds are 120 pounds per set of slides. So you have 240 pounds in this drawer right here. So this would work great as a socket drawer. That's an extremely high weight rating for such a small area. So you could definitely just pack this thing to the gills with impact sockets, and you could have all your impacts up here. And then your bottom drawer is also on a double slide. So you get some extra slides here. The rest of them are gonna be single slid, but with an option to add a second. But from the factory, you do get 2 double slid drawers, which is really cool. So you got 240 on the bottom and 240 here. That's a lot of weight. So, a lot of your heavy pullers and stuff on the bottom, your sockets here, and then screwdrivers, pliers, everything else that you use, along with your screwdriver slots in the top. Overall, I think it's got the power bank on one side. One small complaint I have, I wish they had the knockout so you could put the power bank on either side or add a second power bank, but it can only go on the left side. It comes with these plastic like cable managements on the side so you can wrap your power cord. It's just a bit weird because it's all the way on the other side of the box because your steering end is generally on the left from the factory. So I don't know, I wish they would have put the power bank on this side as a small complaint, or at least given you the option to move it yourself, but you can't, really your only choice is to switch the wheels, and that's kind of a hassle, and switch your steering end. Unlike some other models that have 4 pivot wheels, this box only has 2. I think that's a better design. I do not like boxes that have 4 pivot wheels. Like the Mac carts, they have 4 pivot wheels, but they can lock in any direction. Snap-on's wheels on their carts cannot do that outside of the Epics. So I think this is a good design because moving these things around when they all 4 pivot and they're loaded is really hard. But this box does move well. It's rated for 2,400 pounds because this is a Classic Series platform. By the Classic Series platform, what we're meaning is the steel gauge is what they're stealing from the KRA series. So they're taking the build quality that you guys are familiar with in a Classic Series box, and they are just shrinking it down a bit. So the frame of it is going to be like a Classic Series. The walls of it are going to be like a Classic Series. The wheels are like a Classic Series. It really is just a small Classic Series, which are like those, a couple of them lined up, those power triples over there. But you could totally take these out too, which I like. If you only wanted to use 4 size, I think 8 is a little bit extreme, but some of you guys have a lot of power tools. So you could take, one rail out and use it as a standard cart, and then just the left side would be, 4, and to give you plenty of room for your chargers. The dimensions of it, I guess that's where we'll compare it to the other two the most. All 3 boxes we've mentioned so far being the KHP46, this one here, the KRSC46, this box, but a little bit less tall, and then the KHP415 is that 4-drawer power cart. They are all going to be the exact same, which is 40 from edge to edge. They are all going to be 20 from back to back. This is excluding the bumpers, but the height is where you get the biggest differences. So this box is 50 inches from the floor to the top lip when the lid is shut. It is going to be 46 on the KRSC46, the standard cart, and then on the 4-drawer power option, it is only going to be 40 inches tall. So this box is a lot taller than, you're talking this much space taller than the previous power cart, the KHP415, and it's actually a lot less expensive. It's around $300 less for this box than the KHP415, and you get 2 extra drawers, and I think it's got the same handle as a Classic. I have absolutely no idea what these will sell for. I've seen a few of them around local sell pretty cheap, around $1,000. I think the same issue occurs. We just sold it, but we had one of the deluxe slide top carts in here, and those kind of fall into the same problem where just a lot of people are not familiar with these models. So when they're shopping for a cart, they're looking for a Snap-on slide top bedline cart. That's what they're looking for. So they don't really know that there's a difference between the 40 and the 36. And a lot of people think that the 36 is a smaller box, but actually it's a lot taller and a lot deeper. So those boxes tend to sell not as well as you think they would, just because there really isn't the market demand for them on the used side. Obviously, if you have a dealer pulling up to your shop and showing you this box and you can see it in person, you'll see the benefits of it. But just from looking at photos, a lot of people don't even really show the inside of a box when they're selling it, so maybe you don't even realize from a photo that this is a better box. I would guess it'll sell around $1,200. The standard KRSC46, they always sell for $1,000. It's a fast-selling cart for $1,000. Carts generally sell around 50% of list, and from Snap-on standards, so if a box is $2,200 list, it usually sells around $1,000. I never really get much more for them, and I never really get much less for them, even when they're heavily used. So I would assume that this follows trend, and it's probably worth maybe $100 or $200 more than its counterpart. And I think for that extra money, I would buy this all day long. You know, you get a lot more cubic inches. The cubic inches of this box is 23,000, just shy of 24,000. It's like 23,880. So I think it's definitely a lot of storage. And then the square inches is still pretty high because you do get those big, you know, you do still get 6 drawers, and that top mat is considered in the square inches. Excuse me, and that's going to be 4,000 to 400. Once again, I'm rounding up, but it's 4,400 square inches, so that's quite a bit of storage in there. And at 2,400 pounds, you could definitely use all of that storage. You know, in some boxes, the weight rating is a little bit low for the amount of storage, so you're going to max it out. For example, this Tech Series, you're definitely going to overweight that box if you max every drawer. But even on this one, I mean, you're talking 240, so you're at 500, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're about 1,000 pounds in the drawers, so I mean, you're well under the overall weight rating for the box. They say on their website this is a redesigned KRSC46, and I would say that's pretty accurate. They have 11 inches deep on the top compartment, and that's what the redesign is, with that power structure in the back and those slots for the holsters. It weighs 180 pounds empty. That's the net weight of this box, not including any tools. I think that's pretty much all the specs. There's really not a lot to go over because it is just a small box. I'm not a huge fan of the locking mechanism on the wheels, but that's just a complaint with most boxes in general. You know, it only locks if you're pushing it. If you're pulling it, you cannot access your front lock at all, but usually you're pushing a box anyway, so that's maybe not a problem. The power cord, that's what I was saying about it on the back. It does just go all the way around. So your power cord is drooping all the way across, and then it's wrapping up on the side of it. It's fine. It's definitely long. I know some boxes, like especially Matco, their power cords are super short, but this one you could run halfway across the shop and still plug it in. I know a lot of guys also move these boxes a ton, so you don't even really consider using the power outlets in them, but you know, with how long the new Forge batteries from Milwaukee last, you know, you might only have to charge them once a day, so you can set all your stuff up, and then at the end of the day, plug it into a wall, and everything charges up. You know, it's a little more common that you're going to be swapping batteries throughout the day when you had, you know, smaller amp hours, but you know, we're talking 12 amp hour batteries. They usually last. So if you have 3 or 4 of them, you're probably good. You know, wheel it around the shop, work on whatever you're working on, and then at the end of the day, plug it in. So I think it is a fine design. I just know a lot of people, when I get carts in, you can add power to any cart. I would say 10%, and that's probably exaggerating, have power added to them. Almost never do they have power outlets, because most guys just use this as a secondary box, and then they have their main box. But if you have a main box that doesn't have power, I think this is a great addition, and that's kind of what Snap-on tried to market to with the KHP415. They made a box that was like a power box that would be, you know, a secondary box to your main one. It only had 4 drawers. It was really small, but it was still 40 inches, and it was still a flip top. So I think that this is a better idea for that. You know, if you have a box and you want to wheel it around, your power tools are your most used tools, so you want them in your cart anyway. You know, you got your drills, your impact, your ratchets, everything like that, your electric ratchets, all on the top, and you can just wheel up, work right out of it. I think it is probably one of the best things Snap-on's come up with in a while. You know, a lot of the Epic carts are really cool, but they're also just super expensive. And this is not a cheap box. I'm not saying it's a cheap box. $2,595 is a lot of money, but I think it does compete with a Harbor Freight and just the amount of features that you get and the size of it, the overall build quality. And on the used market, you know, you're buying a US General cart 32-inch they usually go around 500. You can probably find these for around 1,000. I think it's definitely worth spending the extra $500 and getting a box that's way bigger with more features. The top of it is just painted metal. That's an easy way to tell. If a box is going to be painted metal, it's not going to be a deluxe or a slide top. They make a flip top. If it is a flip top that is bed lined or stainless, it's going to be a deluxe shop cart. Those are quite a bit different. Those are really nice boxes. They're just a lot more money. This will get wear on it. It doesn't have it yet, but they always have wear on it. They make a mat that's like on this one here. It's like a really thick rubber mat that's adhesive. It has a lip all the way around it. They make a couple variations, you know, with the Snap-on logo, some different graphics. I think these are really worth putting on if that's your box, because that top will get destroyed. Even if it's from your coworkers, you know, you're taking the day off or you're went home for the day and people are setting stuff on top of your box, because it is, you know, an empty surface in the shop, it will accumulate junk. I think getting one of these is probably worth it. These are like, I think $200, but it'll definitely prolong the life of the box. So I do appreciate you guys watching. This is a cool one. I've been looking for one of these for a while. I just haven't been able to find a good enough deal to justify buying one. And realistically on this box, I won't really make much. I just wanted to see one in person and kind of have it. And I'm sure in time it'll sell. I think we'll list it for $1,200. That seems like a good price, especially in the condition. There's very, very minimal wear on it. I really didn't see anything. There's a little rub mark on the lid, but that is about it. You know, even their bumpers are completely good. I like the bumpers. They're rubber. It's the same as all their carts though. But you know, if you want to compare it to the Matco JSC770s, they have a plastic one. I don't like it. Or the Mac ones, which are going to be plastic. I don't really like those either. I like that they have rubber. They wear really well. Even when you gouge them, they don't crack or rip out, and they're pretty easy to pull off and replace. So if you're moving it a lot, that is a good addition, and it does stick out farther than the lid. So if your box is rolling around, you bang it into a wall, the rubber's going to hit, not the lid. On some boxes, that's not the case, like the Matco JSC773, the newest Matco cart. They do have a problem with that. The lid overhangs the bumpers. This one does not experience that. When it is open, it is very tall though. I guess I'll find a tape measure to mention that, because that's probably not going underneath a lift very easily. And we have no tape measures to be found. Everything has legs. You just want to walk around, show other boxes. There's a lot of cool ones in here. Most of these came in today. I think we had, today is Monday, I think we had 6 boxes come in yesterday, which would be Sunday, so that's quite a few boxes. And of those 6 boxes that came in yesterday, we already sold one. There was a blue one that was sitting against this wall behind you. That blue one just sold about an hour ago. We had a red Matco come in. This one right here just sold today. It needs to get delivered. All right, so from the floor all the way up, you're at about 68 inches. Yeah, and I'm going to show this too. I guess this was my complaints. This is close to a KHP46. It's just a 32 inch with an open bottom. I really like this cart. I used to work out of it. But this is what I'm talking about with where the struts go. So I put some inserts in here because I didn't use them for screwdrivers. But this is what you used to have. So to get your screwdrivers out of here, I mean, it's a pretty tight fit. And then also you have this big rail that's in the way, and your struts are perfectly up. So the fact that they put them out, I think, is really cool. Snap-on doesn't often discontinue boxes, but I have a feeling that's what they're moving towards with the KHP46. I would guess that they plan on obsoleting the KRSC46 and the KHP415. A lot of times they'll still offer those boxes. They'll just offer them at a price that no one will buy them at. So if you want them, they do exist, and I think that's why the KHP415 is there at, you know, $3,000 after tax. That is a super expensive cart, and it's not really worth it in my opinion. Where this, you know, we're talking $2,600. It's twice the size. It's pretty cool. The whole lid is going to have an extra piece of material here. You can mount monitors to this. That's what these 2 holes are here for. So you can have a, you know, a monitor mount, use it for diagnostic pretty easily. Snap-on's liners are good. Overall, I don't have any complaints with this box at all. I don't really have complaints with most of Snap-on's products outside of the price, like the KHP415. This box I don't really think is overpriced at all. I think we'll see many, 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 many more of these in the coming years, as this is probably going to become the most common Snap-on cart that they make. These cups will probably be missing in most of them. We've noticed that the same in many other carts. A lot of times those holster racks are completely removed over time. Especially older mechanics use a lot of air tools. They really don't utilize these very well, even though they work fine for air tools. You know, air tools leak oil. If you stand them upright though, they really do not leak oil, so that's something to keep in mind. I tell it to people a lot. They say they don't use electric tools. It's still a great way to store pneumatics, especially impacts. They fit the same way. They got the little bumpers here so your lid doesn't rub. Those are usually missing. They usually get ripped off just from normal everyday use, but they are still there. So we'll go up to the front. We got to sell another box. We got to get this red one delivered. When he gets back from that, we'll go ahead and do the giveaway winner. And we'll try to get that shipped out as soon as we hear back from you guys. And if we'll reach out to you via email if you won, so just look for that email, and we will try to get that shipped out as soon as you let us know what color that you want. So I will see you guys in a bit. Thanks for watching. All right, so the box got delivered, and we are back to select the giveaway winner. There were 648 people that won, so we'll spin the wheel, and then whatever number corresponds to the person that entered will be the winner. So it is 115. Who was 115? All right, Josh Sizemore, you're the winner. So Joshua Sizemore, we'll go ahead and send you an email, and you can we'll reach out to the email address that you provided. And if you want to let us know what color you want and what size you want, we'll get it shipped out as soon as we hear back from you. So thanks again for everybody watching, and until next time.